Hello, and a big welcome back to all my subscribers to part 4 of my look at the book How to Improve Your Foreign Language Immediately by Boruch Shuckelman. And if you're not a subscriber, why not? So, in this video, we're going to look at the communication tool called Shift Gears. And this enables you to escape from an uncomfortable situation. So, it is very likely in the course of any normal conversation with a native speaker that the discussion will move into an area where the topic is unfamiliar or the foreign speaker doesn't have the vocabulary or the grammar sufficient to keep up the conversation. Now, this threatens the continuity of the conversation, and the danger is particularly serious if the foreigner attempts to dive into this topic despite having inadequate knowledge of the language. So the whole situation just degrades into the foreign speaker running out of words and or reduced to gestures or stammering out incoherent sentences. And this just isn't acceptable, really. And the reason it's not acceptable is the foreign speaker could have escaped from this situation, but instead continues to flounder around helplessly. Now, they could have escaped the situation if they had known about this particular tool and this communication tool. And Shift Gears is a tool especially designed to allow the foreign speaker to avoid this type of trap and to escape from these sorts of situations. Now, there's two methods of doing Shift Gears, but only the second method is recommended by the author, Boruch Shuckelman. The first method is to just give the honest assessment of your abilities and say, for example, "Oh, I'm sorry, but my language skills are really weak and I don't think I can have a discussion on this topic because my vocabulary just isn't large enough. Let's discuss something simpler." Now, of course, this will allow the foreign speaker to move to the simpler topic and allow them to maintain control of the conversation, but there's a couple of negative aspects here. Firstly, it places the foreign speaker in a subordinate position to the native speaker, and it gives them a secondary role in the conversation. And it changes the relationship from being equal partners in a conversation, speaking together with two people with a common communication method. And secondly, for some people and their personality type, it's just impossible to admit this kind of inability to express yourself. So the author gives a number of examples in the book of how this can be improved. And the first is what I personally call masking. Now, you mask your lack of vocabulary by pushing back on the native speaker. So, for example, if the native speaker is a keen gardener and they wax on about gardening and then say something like, "What's your favorite flower?" and you don't know a single name of any flower in the language at all, you can just say, "Oh, I'm not sure about a favorite. Which ones do you have in your garden?" This is pushing back the conversation toward the native. And the native presumably will list a lot of flowers that they have in their garden, and you pick one of these as your favorite. Now, this is okay, but what happens if you actually misinterpret one of the words and you've picked out a word that wasn't a flower but just some other vocabulary word that you didn't know? So it's suboptimal, really. Now, what the author recommends is to sidestep the question, like, "Oh, favorite, well, I have different ones, actually." And the next is to shift the topic. Personally, I prefer indoor activities. And then a new topic introduction. "I have tons of books in my house." And then you develop the topic. "I'm proud of my library. I have many, many classics as well as modern books. It isn't a huge room, but I've filled every wall." And then finally, shift the topic. "Do you collect books?" So the way this happens is sidestep the question, shift the topic, new topic introduction, develop the new topic, and then shift the topic completely over to the new topic. So this is how it's recommended in the books, and shifting away to something that like how many books you collect or whatever, is the recommended method in this book by Boris Shekkelman. Now, while we're on the topic of books, I would like to mention that I'm an author, and I would really appreciate it if you could take a look at my website and some of the books that I've written. My website is XGI Publishing, and you can check out my books, and the site has links to where you can purchase the books through well-known booksellers. I don't sell the books on the site itself, but I link to Amazon and all other large, well-known booksellers. You might also want to listen to my podcast, the Autodidactic Podcast, which is all about self-learning. Right, so let's get back to how to improve your foreign language immediately. So, the first method of trying to get the native to supply you with the vocabulary, as I said before, can backfire, because it assumes that you're going to know and recognize the required vocabulary when it appears. But this may not be the case. Like I say, you might pick a vocabulary word that you don't know, but it isn't a flower. And so this is why the second method of shifting gears is recommended. Now, shifting gears to avoid additional topics has some other, or problematic topics, has some other benefits, because it allows the foreign speaker not only to shift away from difficult or potentially embarrassing situations, but also give an opportunity to shift over to one of the language islands, which we spoke about in the previous video. And it gives you a chance to use the first tool we spoke about, which is show your stuff. So the ability to shift gears seamlessly to an island or to a subject that you're well versed in will help maintain your position as an active participant in the actual conversation. Now, I haven't given you all of the tips in this book, and I encourage you to purchase this book and try out the exercises and read the real-life examples that the author gives about its usage by his students. And remember, he's a well-known teacher, and he worked for the Foreign Service Institute in the U.S., teaching diplomats how to speak to others in Russian and other languages. So, if you like this sort of video, please like and share and subscribe. And the next time, in the next video, I'm going to talk about the next tool, which is Simplify, Simplify, Simplify. Right, thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.